Boom. Jake's Auto and Fabrication here. Some things. When your 4-into-1 throttle cable breaks 2 out of 4 cables, they're hard to find. They're even bigger bitch to build. So what I did here was pretty much mutilated a 10-speed bike. Put all new sleeves. This one obviously is right there. Ran them into this plate. And yes, I've tried a bunch of different things. Come out into this side. Tied them together, catching the one. And there's going to be some improving, trust me. I don't need this throttle sticking wide open at 150. So we'll have a lot of return springs and a master kill switch and a master throttle fuel cutoff. We'll put an M80 in the cylinder if that's how we have to stop it. There's the exhaust. I think looks like the shit. New tires, painted some things. Still need to do a lot of fit and finish. Last things are, let's zoom out here, radiator and sprocket. Still stuck on this sprocket thing. But a couple of things, and it's really off topic of what I kind of do on this channel. I'm not that big into snowmobiling. I've had sleds. I've gone snowmobiling, but I'm not no guru professional. I really like these Polaris triples, 650 EFIs. I fought the EFI system because when I was gutting the snowmobiles, I was in a hurry and I butchered the harness a little bit. Repaired everything that the rodents didn't chew up and that I cut up. And the problem was 3 relays. There's 2 blue ones and a brown one. One of them does do more than what an automotive relay would do to just rewire it. So they want $90 on eBay for them. They're impossible to find where I'm at. I did bypass enough stuff to get them to run, and I was having electrical issues. The fuel injection, as bad as I wanted to work it, was fighting me more than I cared to deal with. And there was actually quite a bit of wires. I researched online. And when I researched online, can I convert my EFI sled back to carburetors or carburetors to EFI? There's some forums. Maybe I didn't find the right ones, but I didn't get a lot of information. I didn't find much on YouTube videos. Some people on the forum said, yes, you can do it. There's going to be a bog. You're going to have to tune it, obviously, with carburetors and fuel injection not compensating for it. That's not the scary part to me. They started talking about timing and the stator, and this thing right now runs phenomenal on carburetors. I am actually surprised. But I wanted to make a little video on taking the EFI 650 triple Polaris RXL and proving that you can carburate it. And I understand that it is a 48 millimeter throttle body. It's huge. And you don't want to lose horsepower, but all I could find were 38 millimeter Makunis. I could not find the 44s or 45, whatever people speak of. So I'm trying it this way, and right now it is peppy and responsive and sounds like it's going to fucking rip. A lot of people on there wanted to say, oh, why would you take the EFI and go to carburetors? Say you can't get the parts like I can. They didn't want to give you answers. They wanted to say, oh, that's just for somebody with less mechanical skills. Can't fix something, and they're resorting back to that. Honestly, thought it was kind of cool to be able to attempt to do it this way. And trust me, when I come up with these 3 relays and build a pretty stout harness, I will go back to the fuel injection if that's what it takes to go 200 miles an hour. But if you can see in there, I got the carburetors, and Amazon actually does sell a boot to adapt them. Trying to see if you can see them. I use the fuel injection ones, and I cut basically a rubber grommet that is tight to the carburetors. They're not reed motors, and I'm not used to that. They call it piston porting or something for the 2-strokes. But it turned out pretty good. Another thing that you're going to run into after you get the carburetors on there, and it is nice, you get rid of a lot of wiring. So you clean up the sled, or if you're transplanting it like me, your project quite a bit. There's no pulse port to be able to plug into for the fuel pump, for the pulse pump. And you would drill, there's a sensor over here, the crankcase sensor, because these run off a coolant temp sensor here, and then there's a crankcase, if I can get it on camera, right down there, that little tick coming off the motor, crankcase sensor for the fueling. And then they have like a mass airflow thing too, but you pull that out, you be really careful on the threads, and you drill past it, and you can tap it for a threaded hose to go on for your pulse pump. I don't have a pulse pump. I forgot to grab it off the Snowmobile when I was grabbing these. And by the way, these carburetors are off a Polarise 700 triple, so I would think they're more than adequate for a 650, even though the throttle diameter is going to be smaller. I have an electric fuel pump. I took the Polaris one off because they run at around 32 to 40 psi. I kept the fuel rail, tapped, if I can get a video, or just about that. I tapped 3 fittings into it where the injectors came out to run the hoses to the carburetors. And then here's the fuel return, and I do have a pressure gauge that goes on here. It's too big. I need one that's for lower pressure, and I'll put it back on. But basically, I turn it on, and it comes up, loops around, and obviously I'm going to be under some pressure. It's a 3 to 5 psi Edelbrock electronic fuel pump. It'll just supply these for what they need. Now, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it won't, but if it sucks these lines dry and I can't keep up with it, I'll ramp the pressure up. I just don't want to blow past the carburetor floats. But I think carbureted motors do run 4 to 5 or 6 psi. But here in a moment, I'm going to fire it up and test the throttle. And it might not sound the greatest, and it's going to smoke like crazy, but I have not been able to rev it. All my videos have been at just idling. So here goes. Don't mind my mess. For now, I'm just going to lock the circuit. Actually, this is how good this thing runs. I'm not even going to use the pulse card. I still have to tack that little piece on. Whoopsie.